15M, my dad and stepmom find out I'm gay and are mad that I never told them, but I told my mom and stepdad. So yeah, my stepmom and dad are definitely the stricter type, not overly strict or anything, but they are the type of people to believe that kids don't deserve privacy. Which means they can go through my phone anytime. I don't have a door, I have to tell them where I'm going and when I'll be back and who I'm with, all of that shit. Honestly, I've gotten used to it, and I spend most of the time at my dad's at friends' houses. But I still love my dad. He wasn't like this until he met my stepmom. He's changed a lot since they got together. And when I tell him, he either gets mad, denies it, or blames me for it. But yeah, they went through my phone, and by they I mean my stepmom. And honestly, I don't know where I talked about boys or anything or being gay, so Edek how she found out, but she told my dad too. And they came up to me today and said they wanted to talk. I was kinda concerned BC I didn't know what I did. But yeah, basically they ended up asking if my mom and stepdad knew, and I said yeah. But then my stepmom asked why I didn't tell them, and I said something like that's not important, and my dad was like if we think it's important, it is. Why didn't you tell us? And then I said something like I don't want to tell you, and he said tell us or you're grounded. And I just ended up being like because I hate your wife, she's changed you as a person, and she's rude to me constantly. And every time I tell you something about me, you don't care or it feels like you are judging me. And I don't know how you physio bitch of a wife would react either. And you all like to share everything with each other and you don't understand what boundaries are. So I'm not going to tell you something like that. Maybe if you have a damn about me, you would have known. You're my father, but you certainly don't feel like my dad. Roger is. He's shown me more love and compassion in the last 3 years than you have since you and mom got divorced. I didn't say that word for word, but something like that. And my dad started crying, and my stepmom just got angry BC I was cussing and I called her a bitch and all of that. So then we got into a massive screaming match, just calling each other slurs and basically shit talking each other until my dad stepped in. He just said go to your goddamn room right now, so I did. And now here I am. Normally I just talk to my friends, but I haven't came out to them yet. I was planning on doing it soon, but I think they know, but I still want to tell them. So I'm here. My mom and stepdad are both working and won't get off until like 4 to 5, so I'm thinking about calling them then. But yeah, my stepmom and dad are fighting now, so that's epic. Honestly I'm used to it. But it's just louder than normal and she's not even trying to be quiet when she talks about me. But hopefully I'll be at my mom's in a little bit anyway. Honestly I'd rather just never talk to her again. And if that means not seeing my dad either, I'm fine with it. She's completely changed him, and she makes life unenjoyable. How my dad finds this woman attractive. I genuinely don't feel like speaking to my dad ever again, but maybe those feelings will change in a bit once I'm kinda more calm. Any advice would be appreciated, and it also felt good to just rant and get it off my chest. Thanks for listening, and thanks for any advice in advance. Smile. Are you able to go to the court system and ask to be permanently at your mom's and stepdad's? I think you absolutely had the right to tell them exactly why you didn't tell them. They do not have the right to go through your phone. I hope you said that whole paragraph word for word to them. Hopefully it gets through to your dad. Stand your ground. Tell him she's the reason you're completely fine not ever seeing him again. I hate that she changed him. I'm so sorry you're going through this. Who pays for the phone? If it's your mom, then put a passcode on it and don't let them get into it. Your stepmom has no right. I don't care if they start screaming at you or threaten anything. If they threaten anything, you call your mom and tell her what's happening. Start recording everything and writing everything down if you can. You need evidence that they're unfit for parenting. I think the best course of action is to see if you can be 100% at your mom's. Your dad and stepmom suck. How any of the court stuff works. I barely even remember much about their divorce or how any of it works. But we've never had to go to court or anything, so how that all works. Can you text your mom and ask her to call you when she has a minute? But make sure you put in the text that it isn't an emergency, just something important you need to discuss with her so she doesn't panic. When you do talk to her, ask her if she can come by and be with you while you talk to your dad as a backup and to take you home immediately if things go south again. Or maybe write a letter to your dad that you leave with him, hand it to him directly, though, so your SM doesn't intercept it, letting him know that you love him, that you miss the relationship and closeness you used to have. But with the way things have become after he married your SM, you just haven't felt confident that he would still love and support you if you told him certain things like being gay. It takes a lot of trust to be open about things like that, ESP as a teen, and for the last few years you've felt like you can't really trust him to have your back if your SM got upset at you. If he wants to work to change things, set boundaries but see how it goes. See if he's truly willing to try. If nothing changes or you feel uncomfortable over there still, talk with your mom about petitioning the court for a custody change. At 15, they will give what you want a lot of weight. Yes, well, that's satisfying, just getting everything off your chest. Smile. I think you may need your mom to mediate this. Tell her, for example, that her stepmom basically outed you and they were not handling this well. Or once everything calms down, have a one-to-one conversation with her dad and say what's on her mind more calmly so he actually listens to what her saying instead of seeing it as daggers he needs to deny to defend himself. He always feels like he needs to defend himself. He never accepts that he's wrong. He even denies the fact that he's changed since he met his wife. Like that's not really debatable, but completely different than you were 6 years ago. But he always finds a way to defend it, which honestly just makes it worse. Like, at least admit it, even if you won't do anything about it, just admit it. Since you have a good relationship with your mom and stepdad, I'd call her and let her know what's going on. Also, you're the third young person I've heard of lately having a bedroom door removed. I really don't see how that's even remotely okay. Even little kids should have basic privacy, and certainly teenagers. Yeah, what goes through people's heads. Like, if you got a door, why don't I? There's really no difference. The basics of it are the same. But I'm probably going to call my mom or stepdad whenever they get off work. Honestly, I think this is less about you being gay and more about your stepmom's lack of boundaries, controlling behavior, and your dad's passivity towards it. Being a step-parent is a tough job and it's the parent's responsibility to set appropriate boundaries for both the step-parent and the child as they build rapport. The goal being to incorporate the step-parent as a co-parenting figure. This is all on your dad. I suspect he let stepmom have her way instead of acting like a parent and taking the lead. It's not normal to not have a bedroom door or privacy. Like you, I had to live with a borderline abusive step-parent and a passive parent. My advice: 1. Tell your mom and stepdad. Get them involved too. Request counseling for you and your dad. You may not want to resolve thing with him, but you need a neutral third party to mediate the situation. 3. Go passive with stepmom. Don't acknowledge her when she tells you to do things. Literally act like she doesn't exist. Tell you, dad, she is not my parent. By snooping, she violated my privacy and she owes me an apology. Understand that you are the parent and I am the child, but I deserve a bedroom door and I deserve to be treated with basic respect. I may not have a choice in coming to your house, but I can choose how I conduct myself. If she can't treat me as a human being, I won't be acknowledging her as one. This is your dad's mess to untangle. Put the ball in his court and use your mom and counseling to show him that. Dad needs to tell stepmom that she needs to step way back from the parenting front. Hopefully with counseling he can put things right. My BF shushed me during sex. This probably will be read by no one, but I just want to type it out and go over it with myself, I guess. I'll keep it short. My boyfriend, 22M, and I, 22F, stayed at a hotel last night. We were excited to have sex in a hotel room as we had never done it before. I guess I should also mention that I am kind of weird about sex sometimes. Obviously no sexuality is weird, I just genuinely feel weird about sex and I'm kind of confused about how I feel. I like sex, but could totally go without it. I am sexually attracted to my boyfriend, but my sexual attraction to anyone has never been particularly strong. I'm probably somewhat asexual, but that's a whole other thing. Whatever. We have sex but probably not as often as he would like, but he never pressures me at all or complains about it. Anyways, we get back to the room after having a couple drinks. We are kissing on the bed and taking each other's clothes off. He gives me head, for like 1 minute and then goes to put his dick inside me. I didn't feel properly warmed up, so I said stop. And that's when it happened. He shushed me, like, shh. I immediately hopped off the bed and put on my clothes and was like, WTF? He was just kind of quiet but apologetic. I was pretty upset and told him to leave the room, which he reluctantly did. He came back and I was really angry with him and I could tell he regretted what he did. I made him sleep on the couch and didn't really talk to him much after I got my initial anger out. This morning he apologized and said he will start listening to me more. We are kind of fine now, but I don't know if I want to be. I feel really uncomfortable with what he did. He's never done anything like this before at all, and I can tell he does feel bad. I'm just confused and don't know what to do. I feel like there is nothing left to say to him, but I just don't feel like it's been resolved, or at least I'm not fully over it. He is a good person, and he does definitely love me, but I don't know what to think. It was out of character for him. Can someone please give me a perspective on this that isn't just break up with him? To be clear, he didn't just shush you during sex. He ignored your attraction of consent and expected you to be fine with it. This is absolutely a big deal. He should know that it is a big deal. I'm not saying you have to break up, but he should know that when you say stop during sex, he should stop immediately and only start again when he's gotten affirmative consent. If he refuses to talk about what happened, he's not mature enough to date. Jumping on the top comment. You talk about not enjoying sex, but you also describe a partner who does not value your enjoyment and prioritizes his own. The two might be connected. A huge reason I knew my husband was the one I wanted to marry is because the first time I ever hesitated while hooking up with him, he immediately took his hands off me and asked if everything was okay. I then ruined the moment by bursting into tears, because that was the moment I realized that almost every male partner I've ever had could feel the slight freeze my body made when I wasn't sure if I wanted to have sex and had chosen pushed through that to get the sex they wanted. And I simultaneously realized what a rare unicorn of a man my husband is. It's sad but true. Didn't say no, I didn't push him away. I hesitated for a half second, and that was enough for a good man who is interested in consensual sex to stop and reassess the comfort of his partner. And he proved that he is interested in my well-being first and foremost. He didn't just shush you. He tried to ignore your request to stop and was totally okay with pushing past without your consent. He was okay with assaulting you and would have if you didn't put him in his place. You don't have to be okay with this, and it isn't an overreaction to end it over this. For those who don't know, penetration before a woman is sufficiently aroused is unpleasant, sometimes uncomfortable, and can be painful. This also shoving lube up there isn't a solution. It's not just about being wet. Being aroused is vital to being able to enjoy sex. Number of men that just flat out don't get this is terrifying. Edit, the fact that I got an award for voicing this and all the comments below just affirm what I said in the saddest way. I was expecting this to be him shushing you because you were louder than he was comfortable with from the title. What actually happened was so much worse. He straight up was trying to coerce you into sex before you were ready, and treated your denial of consent as trivial. Even if he feels contrition about it now, the fact that he prioritized his desire over your comfort and consent makes me worry for your safety. My 22F, boyfriend, 25M, bought $300 shoes after saying he was broke and now doesn't wanna celebrate Valentine's Day. For reference, I do not care about Valentine's Day. I'm not one of those people who hate it because it's cool to dislike things. I'm just impartial to it overall, and celebrating it isn't a big deal to me. My boyfriend and I have been dating for about a year now, and this is supposed to be our first Valentine's Day together this year. Back during Christmas he said I really outdid him gift-wise and said he wanted to make it up to me for Valentine's Day. I didn't really think much of it, but then he started talking about taking me away somewhere. Something like a private cabin BC of COVID. I was getting really excited because I've just never had someone do something like that for me before, and he was really raising my expectations. Fast forward to 3 days ago and he's telling me he didn't make as much money as he thought he would this month, and so he doesn't think we're gonna be able to go anywhere. Totally fine with me. I understand he has his bills to pay and whatnot. The same day, not even an hour later, we're walking around town and he buys a pair of shoes he likes for over $300. Don't get me wrong, it's his money, but it just really hurt me. What he spent definitely could have covered a night's stay somewhere close and dinner if that's what he had planned. I don't really care that we're not celebrating Valentine's Day, but it would have been the same feeling if it was any other date night. It just hurts to be presented with something and have it ripped out from under you. I'm not even mad, I'm just really sad because he does stuff like this all the time. Finances aren't his strong point. Even though he has a really good paying job, he has $0 in savings and just spends his money frivolously on things like clothes and shoes and jewelry, but at the same time talks about how he wants to move in with me. I can't even wrap my head around it. I think this whole situation has just been the tipping point in terms of my problems with his financial spending. It's his money and not my business, but how do I let him know what he does/did bothers me? Don't want him to get defensive because I'm putting my nose in his finances.